Buddy Brent here, just doing a kind of impromptu live stream as I continue to try and get comfortable with being live. You may be hearing a little music in the background. I'm hoping so. It's one of the things with Restream here that I can have background music, which I've tried to work in doing, but you always worry about copyright issues and don't want to be in trouble with anybody. But Restream has an entire selection of copyright-free music that you can use when you're live streaming. So hopefully you can hear that. I am going to try to hop on here, and there may be a little feedback. I want to make sure that everything's going right. Oh yeah, that's awesome. We're getting there. Looking more and more professional every day, except for the host. I am smoking today one of my favorite cigars, one of the first big name brands that I bought, the Rocky Patel Vintage 1990. Let me see if I can get a little shade in front of it here. Throw you a little shade there. This is the Robusto, came in a glass tube. I've actually had this particular cigar literally in my humidor for a few years now, and I pulled the cork out of the bottom of it, and I saw this, and I was like, oh damn, it's moldy. And then I looked at it again, and I'm like, oh no, it's not moldy. That's a piece of foam. What a dumbass. How do y'all put up with me? Don't know. Anyway, so now I have a nice glass tube I can make shooters with or something. I used to know how to do that kind of stuff. I don't think I do now. And this is not going to be one of my pairings, but I'll tell you what I'm doing, what I'm having. I'm having the 1990 Robusto, and I am having some Bell Mead Sour Mash. It's okay. A buddy of mine loves it. Now, it's been bought by somebody else, and the name, I believe, Bell Mead, is gone. It was bought out by another existing company, and I think now it's been renamed from Bell Mead. But I bought this bottle for a pairing a year or two ago, and I like it. It's just not really my cup of tea, but it's okay, and I try to be honest in my reviews, let my personal beliefs stay out of it. The cigar is one of my favorites, and as you can see, you can kind of see the shine on it. A little bit behind, I'm using my iPad to kind of see myself because I can't see the small screen of my phone, but you can see plain as day how nice and shiny that is. It's got a beautiful, beautiful triple cap, maybe a double cap. I think it may be a double cap, but anyway. There is one seam spiraling down the stick. It is visible, but very tight. There's not a whole lot of aroma coming off this one. I just pick up a little faint cedar. Wow. I don't think I've ever had one been this defunct of aroma before. Let's see how it goes. Like I said, I've had this one a while. I know people, talk about leaving sticks in their humidor for years, and it only makes them better. I'm not sure, maybe the glass tube had something to do with this one, because I know I've got some that are the Gordo, that they're like the 6x60, but they're 4x60, and they're just in regular cellophane, and they seem to be like a normal cigar. But I actually think this may be the first cigar I've ever had that has had like almost no aromas at all. I wonder if it's going to be that way on the palate. Like, well, I'm smoking it, but I can't really tell. Using the, I'll let you guess, the C-Car V cutter. Yeah. And I use that one because I love how good a job it does. Put my hat behind it so you can see that nice little. And as always, the Rocky Patel Envoy 5 torch. You have to make sure you keep a good, reasonable amount of distance between the cigar and the lighter. Otherwise, you will flame your stick. And I don't mean that in a good way. I think as you saw as I was lighting that, there is copious amounts of smoke coming off of this stick. They're all like that. It's one thing I could say about Rocky Patel. There may be people that it's not their cup of tea or whatever, but every Rocky I have tried, it has been impeccable construction, great flavors, awesome smoke producers. The ones that he does with the San Andres wrappers are probably my favorite. But I can't, I think he has the Rocky Patel Royale, Royale, Royale. And I love the construction of that stick. I love the feel of that stick. I've smoked 2 or 3 of those, and every one of them have made me nauseous. I don't know. I mean, I smoke a lot of cigars from a lot of different places. None of his other sticks do that. It's only been that one. So I'm not exactly sure what it is about that stick that you may hear some feedback. I want to see if I'm coming through real well. I'm not really sure I am. Coming through real well. Yeah, there's my wonderful harmonious voice. Coming through real well. Yeah, there's another. Yeah, I'll turn it off. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of that because I have other things I want to do. But I was just, I kind of messed up the live stream yesterday by not having my phone with the microphone paired with the microphone as Okay, looks like we're back. Threw up a couple of error messages. I switched screens and it didn't like it. But I have the Bluetooth device that I plug into the pod track, and it allows me to accept phone calls, and I can hear them in my ear, and it records the audio. If you watched my interview with Big Sky Marsh from Big Sky Cigars, He called in. I don't even know. I think he may have been at home in Montana. Yeah. And so I did an interview with him about Big Sky, and he talked about the Blackfoot that was coming out. And he's generally on Instagram. But if you're listening to this, Big Sky Marsh, you owe me a Blackfoot or two so I can try them. You need to send those to me. But the phone automatically connected to that device, and I didn't think to check it. And so it was connected to that device and was recording no audio. So for the first couple of minutes, but then as soon as I went live, or not live, but as soon as I started the recording on the pod track, then it piped in that audio. And so they could hear me on live screen. Yeah. And some of you may want to scream with me doing this, but yeah, as soon as I did that, the rest of it was fine. So note to self, it's a lot of things that you're trying to really start branching out and reach as many people as you can possibly reach. It is hard to coordinate all of this stuff, because as much as all the places say, oh, this is all in one, you can do it, it's never that way. You always have to kind of cobble things together, unless maybe you don't won the lottery and you have a boatload of money to spend on equipment. But if you're just Joe Blow running Sticks-n-Stonez, not quite that way. Now, the stick is definitely more flavorful than the nose was. I'm getting some really good chocolate notes off of it. A little extra sweetness, cedar, a little leather, a little bit of spice, a little black pepper. There's almost a fruity quality in the retro inhale. It's very faint. It's still, like I said, this is one of my favorite sticks. Even as my palate has expanded and I've tried many other cigars, there's still this Rocky Patel 1990. I'm not as big a fan of the 92, but this 90 it's literally stayed in my humidor ever since I bought a humidor, almost. I started off on 5 Beaches. Back then, 5 Beaches was a Cigar International exclusive, and it was an odd story. The story was that cigar making went back to like the 1890s. But it's the only place you could get them, and there wasn't a whole lot of information about 5 Beaches. You could, find information on the individual cigars. But now I've noticed that, some of the other major online retailers have them, but you can still get them at Cigars International. And 5 Beaches, they had some good sticks. They were budget sticks compared to, the big brands. I haven't bought one in quite a while. But they had a AAA that was really good. Cash strength was good. Wasn't, like near my top of the list. But AAA was probably the one I liked the most. Lots of smoke coming off this one. and it's burning at a fairly good pace, and it's not a razor sharp burn line, but it just has some very like gentle waves in it. I don't like them when they really get wonky, but I don't I don't mind if some people, they like them, they want them to have like a razor sharp burn line. Like this is nature. Nature's not going to be perfect. That's a really good cigar. I don't know. I mean, they'll be okay. All right. I've just realized as I've been collecting more bottles and for doing episodes that I need to be getting rid of some bottles too, especially ones that they may have paired well, but they're not my favorite. It's like scotches. I am a Speyside, Highland, maybe Campbelltown Scotch drinker. The only Scotch I like from Islay is Bruichladdich Classic Laddie, and it is a low smoke, low peat Scotch. I am a low smoke, low peat guy. Lagavulin has been all the rage here recently, and I'm just not a fan of it. Too much smoke for me. Now I have paired some very smoky Scotches because I know, just because I don't like smoke and peat. A lot of the people that watch my episodes do, and even people that maybe they start out on a Speyside, and as their palate develops, they gravitate more towards the smokier, peatier Scotches. I want to be able to offer something for everybody. And so like Talisker was one that had a lot of smoke and a lot of peat in it. It's really not my cup of tea, but I can see the appreciation in it. And so I try to be as honest and unbiased as possible, not let my personal feelings get into it. But that Bruichladdich Classic Laddie is a very good Scotch. Very good Scotch. I watched the documentary. I don't remember where I watched it. One of the streaming channels. But they're talking about the guy that he had been working in Scotch since he was 15. And he was in at that point in time, he was like, I don't know, 69 or 72 or something like that. And it's like the Golden something is the name of the show. Scotch, the Golden something. And so you get to the end of the program and it says he's retiring. Well, it didn't last very long, like a year or two, and he had been brought back to another Scotch distillery to work with them and try and get them relaunched. But Bruichladdich, I can't remember if that was the name of the distillery when he came on board and got it restarted. But I do know that he came in because this distillery was sitting here like unused, and he had brought it back to national or international prominence, I should say. Now then, they have a half a dozen or more different Scotches that they offer, but so far the Classic Laddie is my favorite. And the rest of them, like I said, it's just too much smoke and peat for me. Nice ass. Let me go over on Instagram. Let the folks over there know that I'm over here. Camera. Nope, not that facing. That facing. Let's type all this in. And I got to get it grammatically correct. All right. Because I have a feeling there may be nobody watching. And I'm just here talking to myself. Okay. Still don't know if that's... Nope. Oh, shit. Sorry. Nope. Not that. Okay. There we go. Push the button. Well, I had the day off. Federal holiday. Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, I don't know, whatever. I'm not one that gets into all this renaming stuff. You know, I'm a very big proponent of George Orwell's 1984. That should be required reading, if not in high school, in college. And it needs to be understood for the way it's written. If you've never read it, it is an excellent book. It was written in 1948, called 1984. George Orwell, English author, and he was a socialist, but he wrote this book. It's a dystopian type story about this guy that he worked for, Big Brother, and his job was to rewrite history, literally. If anyone did something, anything that was against party rules, party regulations, party guidance, whatever. Take for instance, okay, I know this week, and I'm not getting political here. I'm using current events. All right, so Kevin McCarthy, or no, let's use Trump. He's got all the investigations going on right now, and whether you like him or hate him, whatever, I'm not going to tell you my opinion. He's got all these investigations going on, and he comes out and he says something. He's talked about the Attorney General of New York, and all these people are, they're criminal, and this is all just political hit job and all that kind of stuff. So Big Brother decides that they're just going to write him out of history, and he's going to disappear. They put him in a political prison or kill him, and then it's this guy, the main character in the book. It's his job to rewrite history and delete him from history. Period. Never existed. That's kind of the underpinning of the story. And he meets somebody, and they fall in love, and that's against the rules and regulations or whatever. And so this ends up happening to him, and it is kind of a really good representation of what happens when you take the power away from the people and you give it to the politicians. So again, not saying anything left or right or whatever, but I mean, we have way too much history going back even thousands of years. What happens when we're ceding a certain amount of power from us, the individuals, to those in the government. And if that goes too far, you end up with a or Stalin or Pol Pot or insert dictator here, you know. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have not read 1984, or if they did, they don't understand it. And he wrote another very good book, Animal Farm, which was same kind of thing. And the great line from that book was, everyone is equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Yeah. Think about that. It's getting way too heavy for smoky and drinky time. A rabbit trailed off, but we're back. We're starting to get close to the halfway mark here. The chocolate may be dying out just a little bit. You may be getting more, hang on. Little earthy, little cedary, little leathery, and there's still a little bit of pepper in there, like black pepper. And we're, like I said, we're getting close to the halfway mark, and I'm about 27 minutes on the live stream, and of course I'd already been on for a couple of minutes before so you know, we're like 25 minutes in, about a 50-minute smoke so far, what it's going to look like. It still looks like I'm doing okay. Still just wondrous volumes of smoke coming off the stick. Burn line. Still, it's probably gotten a little wavier, especially like right about there. But not that bad. That's what I expect from most cigars. The Belle Meade is starting to get watered down enough that it's probably a little overly watered down now, but you know. While I am very happy, like I'm sitting out here right now, gig 'em, Texas A&M. Unfortunately, they lost to Alabama at home. But they beat Alabama last year at Alabama's house. So, and I've got my desert camo cargo shorts on. It's the only pair of desert camo top or bottom that I managed to get away from my first marriage with. Most of everything that I owned is somewhere in Oklahoma now. So. And I'm only really upset about a handful of things. First and foremost is my family Bible. It was my grandfather's, my father's father. And especially later in his life, he kind of knew that he was starting to lose some of his, memories. So he was very meticulous about writing things down, writing down brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and cousins, and and there's a family tree in that Bible. And the Bible, it's about that thick, 8.5 by 11, and about that thick. It's one of those that has those really beautiful illustrations and stuff in it. Right in the center of it, it had a family tree. And he had our ancestral lineage going back into the mid to early 1800s written in it, in his hand. That's somewhere in Oklahoma now, unless she's had it put in storage somewhere and then not paid the storage, and it's ended up on Storage Wars. It's very possible. So, hey, another one of my ventures. I'm writing a book about that experience. So, the experience of my first marriage. It's going to be a New York Times bestseller. I'm sure of it. There's going to be people reading that going, well, there's no way. Yeah. Not making any of it up. That's for sure. Can't make that stuff up. Today's Monday, federal holiday. 8 days ago, coming back from the grocery store, I'm bringing the last bag of groceries in the house. It's hard to kind of explain. The garage has a little step down, and it runs all the way down the wall of the garage where your headlights would be when you're parked. And it actually goes, or originally went, split the door going into the house. Half of it was 4 inches higher than the other when you stepped out that door into the garage. So, I mean, it's very easy to trip. And we had Winter Storm Uri damage. And the guy that was coming in to do the demolition, he's like, hey, do you want me to pour a little pad right there to kind of make that level, make it a little easier? I'm like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So we did, and it has. It's been wonderful. But, still, it goes the entire length of the garage for that little step down. And so I was coming around my wife's car. She's got an Infiniti QX60, and there's several feet between the corner of her car and the door. And probably the last step I made before I got to his pad, I put my shoe like that on that edge, and my ankle rolled. And I, looking at, you hear about people going, oh, this was happening in slow motion. This was happening in slow motion. I'm looking down, falling, looking at the sole of my shoe. But that's not good. I hit on my right side, my left knee hits the ground. I've got a scab about the size of a quarter on my left knee. And I was laid up for several days after that. I could barely move. I went ahead, I worked because I work from home. I work for Big Brother, and I love it. I do. I spent 21 years in the military, and I just feel a real sense of it, accomplishment and contribution doing what I do. And I don't bring any of that into this. So keep it separate. But anyway, and so I worked from home, so I was able to do that, continue working. But man, it was a lot of pain. It swelled up. It was probably at least twice the size of my left ankle. I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but it's finally kind of getting back. I went back to the gym today. I went Saturday, and I was only able to do about half of my aerobic workout, which is not aerobics. You're not going to see me doing that. The elliptical. But I was able to go today, and it's now aching a little bit, but I was able to do my entire workout like I normally do. I do 40 minutes plus 5-minute cool down. Went about 5.5 kilometers, burned about 500 calories. So that's, if you go to the Amazon store, one of my, please go to the Amazon store. We love your support. I have idea lists. That's what they call them on Amazon, an Amazon influencer. And hopefully I'm doing a really good job of influencing. But one of the lists I have is fitness stuff, and like the shirts and the shorts and the towels and all that stuff. That's all stuff I use. And I actually had some shirts on there that I loved the shirts. You got them in a 2-pack. And, I'm double X. I'm a big guy. Even losing weight, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3". I'm big boned. And so I have to buy double X. Like dress shirts, I have to buy a big neck that's bigger than my neck because I need the sleeve length because my arms are so long. And I ordered these shirts and I loved them. Tried the first one on, fit fine. Took the other one out of the package, threw them both in the washer. And after I got them out, the one I tried on still fit fine, but the other one is about the size of a large. That's not good. So I had put them on that idea list, and I removed them from that idea list because they sent me 2 shirts in the same package, and even though they both said XXL, one of them fit like a large, and I won't present that to you people. I strive to be honest and forthright in my recommendations, and if I recommend something, it is because I believe in it. So go out there and look. Hey, I have great running shorts. I use running shorts on the elliptical, and I use these towels and I've gotten a couple of orders of them, and so I've got over a dozen, and I love them. They're like 12 inches wide, and they're about 36 inches long, and they're perfect for laying on the machines if you're lifting weights. And I string them across the heart checker thing on the elliptical machine so I can wipe myself off. And they're one of those that they get cooler when they get wet. So they feel really good. I like them. Come in a variety of colors. Zucchini, I think, is the brand name of them, and I couldn't speak more highly of them. I love them. I think I've posted one little video at some point, maybe on Amazon. It was like, these are a godsend, and they are. They're really great. They're not too much. They're not too little. They're just right. Like Goldilocks. Not too much, not too little. Just right. All right, somebody has recognized seeing my post on Instagram. One of my buddies. One of my Instagram buddies. I need to get some of us together. There's one guy that he lives here in the DFW area. I like him a lot. He's a little different than me. I'm doing more of the pairing whiskey and cigars and stuff, where he is just more in reviewing cigars, and he does a lot of the TikTok stuff. Hang on just a second. I've been drinking, so I can't tell you his name right off the top of my head, but I will find him because I always like to cross promote, where's he at? I'll find him. While I'm looking, I'll just keep talking. Oh, Instagram, send Cristobal guitars. Cigars. I use Yamaha cigars. I use Yamaha guitars. Not that I'm very good. It really sounds like somebody strangling a cat. But, maybe at some point. I'd really like to... Once I'm done with my job, I've got about 7.5 or 8 more years until I hit the minimum retirement age, and for my job, and I want to retire, and I really want to go somewhere in the Caribbean. I'm kind of the Kenny Chesney kind of guy. I want to live on a beach, I want to live on on an island. Let the rum flow. This is a great story. All right. When I first joined the military, I've been in 3 branches. And it seems to be getting, see that? That I don't like. That's getting a little way. Ooh, look, it's almost like it's a piece of machinery. Like it fits in a certain way into a slot. I have to touch that up. Anyway, I've been in 3 branches of the military. I started in the Navy. My dad was a big John Wayne guy. So I watched all the, Midway and uh, In Harm's Way and Sands of Iwo Jima and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, oh my God, I want to be. My mom will tell you, from the time he was a little boy, he always wanted to be in the Navy. I joined the Navy in 1991. I was in a program, did 2 years active duty, and at the end of that program, or at the end of that 2 years, Bill Clinton had instituted the drawdown of the military, and they would not give me the option to re-enlist, which was fine because I didn't want to re-enlist for the Navy. I had figured out that I didn't like living on a Navy ship. My ship was 225 feet long. Or no, it was 250 feet long and 50 feet wide, and we had 228 people on board. That's too much. Now, sailboat, I could live on a sailboat. But anyway, I'd spent 2 years. We had been attached to a DEA drug enforcement task force. We were doing stop and search. We were chasing our friends, like the Canadians, British, chasing their subs around this big operational area that's down in the Caribbean. And, we chase them and they chase us, and it's war games kind of stuff. But I spent that 2 years spending most of my time in the Caribbean, and that's where I fell in love with it. 1991, 92, 93. I had my best friend, I'm still connected with him on Facebook today, Carl Brown. He's actually an author and an English teacher. He is Jamaican. He's a Jamaican immigrant. Karl. Go look him up. You can get his books on Amazon. He is a great writer. And so he and I, we were on the same duty section. When you're not underway, when you're underway, you work every day, all the time. It just has to be done. But when you're in port, you work duty section only. There's 4 duty sections, 1 duty section per day. So you only work once every 4 days. Now, we had pulled into Puerto Rico at that time. Roosevelt Roads was a very large Navy base in the Caribbean, and so that's where we would pull in and spend days at a time, filling back up with supplies and whatever. And we had pulled out of Roosevelt Roads. We weren't even out of sight of the island, and ship broke down. They had to send tugboats out to pull us in. We were dead in the water. We were there. This was, like I said, 1992 or so. And we were there for 3 weeks waiting on a part. This was, 30 years ago, well before the way things are today, where you can order on it. I mean, we could have ordered our part on Amazon and gotten it to us overnight. Not back then, no. So we were there for 3 weeks, and you worked once every 4 days. He and I were in the same duty section, so we were off at the same time. We were off 3 days in a row. We'd get up every morning that we were off. We'd go down, we'd eat breakfast, we'd shower, get in our civvies, swim trunks and a t-shirt or whatever. And we'd get on the base bus and go down. On a military base, you have the BX, which is it's called the base exchange, which is like the department store. And you can buy stuff in there, Vera Bradley, Levi's, Nike, all kinds of name brand stuff. And then you have the commissary, which is the grocery store. And then you have the ever important Class 6. Class 6 is alcohol. So we would go down, we'd go to the commissary, we'd buy, like you get one of those like styrofoam coolers, we get a big thing of ice, we buy a selection of fruit juices and cups. And then we go next door to the Class 6 and you could buy a gallon of Bacardi on the base for $2.50 a gallon. And we would buy a big bottle of Bacardi. We get back on the bus, we take it down. There were 2 beaches on the base. And we go down to this beach that very few people went to. Everybody went to the other one, which was closer to where you could, rent various kinds, like jet skis and sailboats and all that kind of stuff on the bays. You could do all that. Well, we went to the other one because there were very few people there. We would literally sit on this beach all day, smoking cigars, drinking rum and fruit juice. He had his radio with Jamaican music on it, and we were just chilling. I tell people today, I'm like, look, we were doing our duty. We were guarding that beach. If anybody tried to invade, we would ply them with rum and cigars and wait for help to arrive. And that's how I ended up a total fan of Kenny Chesney and Jimmy Buffett. God rest him. Can't believe he got called home. It was too soon. Speaking of, if you haven't heard, he actually had new music ready to come out when he passed. And he's got one out. The single that they've released is My Gummy Just Kicked In. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, you realize the humor in that song title. And the story has it that this song was written because he and his wife, cannot remember her name, and he was very good friends with Beatles, Paul McCartney, and his wife. And they were out one night at dinner with Paul McCartney and his wife, and she said something, Paul McCartney's wife, during the meal that her gummy had just kicked in. He wrote an entire song about it. So even though Paul is not, big into music anymore, he's just chilling, spending the money he made when he was a member of the Beatles and his solo career. Hey, I do it too. Just chill. And, I do love, like the original Independence Day, where Judd Hirsch is talking about some Beatles song lyric, and he's like, great man, shot in the back, terrible. I love that little scene. It's really fun. And then in that movie, he's a cigar smoker. So, speaking of, I'm getting close to being at the end. And it still looks like, hey, we're loaded up with viewers. If you're not watching, you're seeing this later. Unfortunately, I'm not very good about saying like a day ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow. You just kind of have to hope to catch me. But you need to be checking, because I'm at the point in my life where I don't say, should I say this? I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, let's just see what happens. Like a friend of my wife's, my second wife, is an angel. I love her dearly. Completely and totally 180-degree opposite of my first one. My first one was the demon from hell. Sorry. But this one, she and I, we've been together for almost 10 years. Worship the ground she walks on. Love her. Anyway, she has a friend. Friend has a daughter. Daughter is, she's a little more on the liberal side of things. I thought I wasn't going to get political, but I will say I'm a registered libertarian. I'm a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party. I am more socially liberal. I like smoke them if you got them. I don't care. Whatever. Marry who you want to marry. Whatever. I don't care about any of that. But I'm very hardcore, physically conservative, and I support the military 150% unless I can get it higher. I was in the military. I know the job they do. I was deployed to Afghanistan, and I was deployed to Iraq, and I've been shot at I support those guys. Unfortunately, it's gotten a little hairy. Not hairy, but which I am not. But you know. But anyway, the daughter sent me a friend request. Daughter's an adult. She's married, got a child. And so I was talking to my wife yesterday in the car, and I was like, "Hey, so and so sent me a friend request," and she's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, I didn't accept it because I wanted to talk to you first because you know some of the shit I say, and I can just see that not going well. She will not like my profile, and so I haven't accepted it. I don't want to, make unnecessary enemies, especially when it's like that. It's my wife's like best friend since they were like 8, and I love the lady. She's a great lady. I don't want to piss her daughter off and cause any unnecessary, So, like, are you sure she knew what she was signing up for when she sent me a friend request? Anyway, well, we are approaching 60 minutes. This is the longest I've ever done live stream, and I think it's gone pretty well, even though I don't think I've gotten the viewership I really would like to get. Tell your friends. If you happen to see any of this, tell your friends, because I am the cowboy hat wearing, cigar smoking, whiskey drinking SOB. I am Ghost Recon. That was my name in the military. Unfortunately, it's not because of any covert operations I was involved in. It's my ability to disappear. I was actually, when I was in Baghdad, was working with Naval Special Warfare Logistics Readiness Squadron 2. That sounds very official. Basically, it's the guys that keep the beans and the bullets coming for 3 SEAL teams. And at that time, it was the one that you've seen, American Sniper, Chris Kyle. Terrible tragedy. But it was one of the 3 teams was one that he was in. I never met him that I know of, but you knew the story. In the movie it says that they're making fun of him, calling him the legend. No, that was the way we all knew he's a legend. But anyway, so I was helping those guys, and one of them was in my office one day, and he's like, dude, you have a very forgettable face. How do you respond to that? Thank you. He works with SEAL teams. As far as I knew, he was SEAL. He could kill me in 100 different ways. I was like, thank you, I think. And he said, oh yeah. He said, no, in our world, he said, that is a compliment. He said, we strive to just be able to disappear into the crowd. You're Ghost Recon. Thank you. I just earned a nickname. So now, if you're playing fantasy football or fantasy basketball or electric cell phone bingo with Ghost Recon, you very well could be playing with me. That's been my title ever since. I'm Ghost Recon. Well, you're done. Really did give a lot of different flavors later in the stick. We had some really good notes of chocolate to begin with. This stick, I think, was a little odd anyway, because there was no real nose on it. That was strange. I will I will chalk it up to being a glass tube stick. I've never smoked one from a glass tube. When I was in Baghdad, this is kind of when I got really started on cigars, was in 2004. When I was in Baghdad, and you could buy Cubans, Punch, H. Upmann, Cohiba Cuban cigars, and they all came in metal tubes. But and I was a straight newbie, didn't appreciate all of the palettes and aromas and everything that there is now. And I got hooked on the Rocky Patels and loved them. Really, just about the only thing I kept in my humidor early on, when I came back and was deactivated, was 5 Vijas, and then I expanded out into Rocky Patel, and then from there, I have morphed into more. I would say this is kind of a medium to full-bodied cigar. It is an excellent smoke, even though this one didn't really offer a lot of complexity to me, this particular cigar. I think I think the glass tube had something to do with it. I don't know. I didn't really find any harshness in it. The Robusto has been almost an hour, probably about 50 minutes. And I've been doing a lot of talking and waving and, all the stuff I do. It's still a great smoke. It is. Even though this one was in the glass tube, I would say try something other than one in a glass tube. Or don't let it set in your humidor for 2 years. That could be part of it too. But I will have to say, hey, glass half empty, half full. It was very consistent, stayed consistent from the beginning to the end. You had chocolate kind of slowly faded away as we got farther into the stick, but impeccable construction. It didn't come, even 2 years in my humidor, did not blow up on me, did not come apart. None of the cap ended up in my mouth. And it was a really good burn time. It's about 50 minutes, I mean, you're talking a 5x50 on the ring gauge. That's a pretty good burn time. And I've gotten to just sit and shoot the shit with you guys and have really enjoyed it. So I think I always, when I pair these with a particular spirit, I give it somewhere in the 92 to 95 range. This particular stick could be a little lower than that because it wasn't very complex. But I think that's partially my fault for letting it set for so long. So I'm going to put this out. I hear the lovely Mrs. Sticks-n-Stonez in there, feverishly getting dinner ready. And so I'm going to go in and ask, is there anything I can do to help? For which she will say, no, I think we got it. We have 2 at home, 13 and 14. Yeah, I'm much older than 13 and 14-year-old kids, but why do you think I drink and smoke so much? But I love them. They're my babies. I am going to wrap it up as I always do. Thank you for spending some time with me. I greatly appreciate it. Hit like, subscribe, share, notify. If you're watching this and you weren't on the live stream, you've watched it either on Facebook at Sticks-n-Stonez, Sticks-N-Stonez, Stonez, or Twitter, which is the exact same, but you replace the dash with an underscore because, damn it, somebody already had the one with the dashes in it. So I am Sticks-N-Stonez on Twitter, or underscore. I totally effed that up. Sticks_n_Stones, STONEZ, on Twitter, or YouTube, and that's Sticks-n-Stones, STONEZ, on YouTube. Go by Sticks-n-Stones.com, all small letters, all one word, all rammed together, no dashes, underscores, nothing like that. .com. And check out the store. I've got a blog there where I talk about cigars, I talk about alcohol, I talk about college football. I'll probably end up talking about some other stuff too. But definitely check out the store. I greatly appreciate it. The website, I greatly appreciate it. There's a link on there to get to our store on Amazon. And actually, you can even type in Sticks-n-Stones, STONEZ, into the search bar on the Amazon shopping app, and you will get to our episodes. I've got it set up. You can hear the podcast. I've got a podcast that'll drop tomorrow from this weekend's recording. You can find us on Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio Spreaker, SPREAKER, and a whole host of other smaller places. So, until we get to be together again, keep your sticks dry, stones cold. Have a great day.